1, 2, 3. Okay. Of the 3, who has something in production? Just the 1. Cool. All right. Of the room, who has touched Azure? Other than the original 3. A couple more. Wow. Okay, excellent. This is going to be fun. Welcome to Azure. Here are the goals that I hope to achieve today. I am not teaching major query tuning and optimization techniques. I am teaching Azure tools that assist you in doing query tuning and optimization techniques. All right? That's the stuff. Please, 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 get in touch with me. This is my contact information. I'll put this up again at the end. I don't put up an About Me slide. No one cares who I am. You want to know information, you want to have answers to questions, and so I put this stuff up. If I can't answer the question, I will tell you that, and I will find someone who can answer for you. All right? So just please send them to me. I respond to all my emails, even if it's to tell you I don't know, or geez, that's a really big one. Here's my consulting fee. Right? Either way, but I will respond to your emails. So let's talk about this. If you move into the Azure space, especially if you're looking at the Windows Azure SQL database, if you're looking at the Azure VMs, or if you're looking at the Amazon VMs, or any of the other hosted VMs, it's a VM. You know what you do to tune it? Same thing you do to anything else. You know what your tools are for tuning it? Same things they are for anything else. Why? Because it's a VM. It's running on Windows. But if you move into the Azure space, you're moving into a new area. The technology is different. The layout is different. The structures are different. You don't have one database. You have 3. It looks like one database, but it's not. It's 3 databases running behind the scenes on 3 different servers. One of them is a primary, 2 of them are secondaries, and there's a thing that Microsoft calls replication, but it's not what you and I know about replication. It's this other black box thingy going on, and it looks kind of like replication, but it's not. So, with all that going on, you get very minimal control because you don't know which server this is running on. Further, you don't know what's on that server. Every one of these servers is shared. So your database is running with her database, which is running with his database, which is running with her database. And probably another 35,000 or so other databases. Yay. Now there is Azure Premium, and Azure Premium has the ability to add CPU and memory, so you can get some control. Again, literally allowing you to throw money at the problem. I mean, how do we fix most of our query tuning problems today? Buy a new server, right? Because we don't have time to fix the query, so we're going to buy a new server, which will help it run faster for about 6 months, and then it's running slower again. No one's laughing.
It's so true.
You're all like, yeah, I'm living that life. So look, you don't have any control over where the query runs. You have very minimal control over how many resources are available to you. You certainly don't have any control over disks, right? So like the whole thing of like, well, we'll just buy, SANs or whatever and make it go run faster. Which by the way, SANs don't run faster, do they? You also don't have any control over when the server, your database, is literally going to go away. Now this is a whole high availability, very much up system. It's very highly available. And so you're saying, well, wait, it's going away? Well, yeah, because it will fail over on a moment's notice. It's still available. It's just moved from one system to another, which causes connection problems, and you'll have to program around those. And I'm going to talk about that in a bit just because it's not a query tuning issue, but it's one of the fundamental issues of working with Windows Azure SQL database. But all of this control stuff freaks out DBAs. Developers are all going, what's the big deal? DBAs are all having, really kind of like panic attacks at the moment because we're taking away all their control. The fun part is most code, and I'm not throwing anybody under the bus when I say this, most performance problems are code or structure related. And I'm not saying that your code sucks. I'm saying your queries suck. or your indexes are inappropriate, or you're not maintaining your statistics correctly. All of these problems that's where most of the problems come from. 94% or something like that, cumulative, are related to code or structure. Or you haven't normalized correctly, because normalization is actually performance. Everybody know that? Nod your heads. Now you do. Okay, good. Also, the whole thing about Windows Azure and using Windows Azure SQL database is, because it limits you to 150 gigs. Who here has databases bigger than 150 gigs? And so you're going, why on God's green earth would I possibly go to this? Well, okay, what if you were to shard your data and do it in an expandable way so you could throw 150 gig systems at it over and over again anytime you wanted to. Instantiate 100 of them in about that much time, and then when you're done with them, turn them back off. Can you do that at home?
Well, yeah, if I talk to the same guys, I could, well, no.
But you can do it here. It's an expandable capacity, and so you're going to get queries that run on 10, 50, 1,000 different databases. Microsoft's got multi-terabyte systems running through sharding and through the expandable capacity, and it's great. Except that query, remember that I said your query sucks? We'll multiply that same query by 1,000, and it sucks 1,000 times. Running on 1,000 servers being called by God knows how many people, right? So it's a big deal. So at this point, you should all leave the room going, oh my God, this thing sucks, right? It's horrible, why would I go to it? Well, let's talk about it. One of the main reasons you're going to go to it is business. The business is going to drive you there, not necessarily your technology choices. Why is the business going to drive you there? Because it is quick. You set up an account, you create a database, that database is there within about 10 seconds. And I know you're saying, well, who cares, 10 seconds? Yeah, but you put a PowerShell script on there and create 100 databases, 1,000 databases, 10,000 databases in 10 seconds. It's instantaneous. You've got access to stuff immediately. So speed to delivery is high, which excites a lot of businesses. It is very low management cost. You are not maintaining power. You are not maintaining servers. You are not maintaining, lights, for God's sake, let alone desks, racks, all that other stuff. You don't have to maintain Windows. You don't have to do patching. All of that is done for you. So at a very low management cost. Managers get real excited about this. You only pay for what you use. Now, let's talk about when I say that, what I mean. You pay for storage. So however many databases that you create and how much data is on them. Not if you create 100 databases and there's nothing on them, guess what you pay? Don't. As soon as you fill them up, you pay for what you store. And you pay for data dash, meaning any data you pull out of the cloud. You give it all to Microsoft, they don't charge you. You pull it away from them, they want you to pay for that privilege. It's okay to laugh. By the way, it's also okay to ask questions at any time. So it's actually extremely cheap. Yeah, oh, she's waiting. I thought she was asking a question. Yes. And I already talked about it, but you have expandable capacity. You can turn this stuff on, turn this stuff off. Anybody work for like a sales company, like might buy like time at the Super Bowl or something, right? Normally, day to day, you get 1,000 users hitting your system in an hour. On the Super Bowl day, you're going to get 1 million hitting it in an hour. You might want to just turn capacity on for that period of time and then turn it back off. Azure lets you do that. So all of these reasons are going to be on there. From a technology standpoint, it is quick, it is simple, it is clean. And it's expandable. And those are the main driving points for me. I love doing prototyping in it. I love allowing developers to get in there and play with it because it is about 98 to 99% of the footprint of SQL Server. There's a couple of things it doesn't do. There's a whole slew of things it doesn't do around management. But great. I don't want to manage it. I just want to create a database, a structure, some code, play with it. It's perfect for developers. It's great for prototyping. And then if you determine that you need to move out of it for your production system, great, move out of it. But otherwise, it's a good place to run and play. All right, any questions so far? Because now we're going to start to dig in a little bit. Sir?
So how cheap is it if you charge 1 terabyte?
You have, for the exact cost prices, I don't work for Microsoft, so I don't know.
Approximately.
For a terabyte, it will be 150 gigs 10 times, approximately. And that costs, you're probably looking at about $1,500 a month, something like that, which is not that much. When you consider like how much a server costs and the SAN costs and all those other costs, it actually is pretty cheap. That's a guess, though. Don't quote it. Grant Pritchett said. I might be over, I might be under. I don't know. Yes?
I may be the only person in the room that doesn't know this, but what's sharding?
Oh, sorry, sharding. No, no,
I
no.
might be the only one. Sorry.
Perfect, wonderful question. Anytime you say a thing like that and people are like, oh, yeah, cool. There's always somebody who doesn't know, and that's probably half the room. So, sharding is taking your data and splitting it up, partitioning it logically,
Partitioning.
but we're partitioned physically. And so
Okay.
you shard it out to multiple locations.
Okay, cool. Thank
Yeah,
you.
and this works fantastic for that.
Okay, thanks.
All right, so here's the good news. Let me gauge the room. Cool, good. At least a good third of you or more are old. I'm 50. I know. Come on. Remember the old days? I mean, okay, the kids are all going, oh shit. You have to listen to this. The old days, we actually had to do this thing called designing software. We didn't just build it, we had to think about it. We had to plan it. Because we didn't have these giant fat pipes you could put terabytes of data through. We actually had to, we only had these little narrow little token ring network things that stunk on toast. And so we had to keep our transactions as short as possible. Because if you open this long transaction and just let it run, it would kill the server. I mean, you would literally watch network traffic ping off the roof, and the entire office starts running around screaming, what's wrong, what's wrong? You tell the boss he unplugged it and the token fell out, but, okay. It's not a Dilbert joke, but anyway. You had to keep the transactions as short as possible. Guess what? We have to do that now. You keep the transactions short, right? You can't move everything. We used to have to only move the data we needed. You didn't go in there and say, select star from the table because it doesn't matter. We'll get it over here. We'll deal with it in the app. It'll be fine. You can't do that anymore. Now you've got to actually think about it. Design this data you're going to move. Because why? Because you pay for it. You don't put a where clause on that query and pull down the entire table just so you can filter it down to one row. Two things. One, that's going to suck on performance. And the other, you're paying for it. Only move the data when you need it, right? Again, not that select star from everything. And finally, you're going to have to tune queries. When you tune queries in Windows Azure SQL Database, ready? You save money. Walk to your boss and say, hey, you know what? I just saved us X amount of dollars per day. Who can say that about any queries you tune today? This is exciting stuff. I love SQL Azure. If no other reason, I look good on the bottom line. And I've never looked good on the bottom line. I'm always a cost. Yes?
I don't really understand. So if you tune the query by adding an index, that index is going to be stored. You're going to pay more storage costs.
You will pay more storage costs.
I don't understand how it's...
Okay, I will explain it. That's a good question. Leads me right into the, I should pay you. I'm sorry, that's not a good question. That's a great question. Good question, I don't know the answer to. I like good questions. A great question is on the next slide. So, one other bit we're going to talk to before we start talking about query tuning is throttling. We talked about shared databases, right? 35,000 databases all on one server. Anybody have that many on one server? Okay. Me neither. Maintaining that scares the hell out of me. Anyway, 35,000 on one server. Guess what? Microsoft won't just let you run anything. they've got a series of limiting factors called throttling, that when you hit throttling, it prevents you from running the query. You know how it prevents you? Well, developers, you might not know this, but DBAs have this little tool called kill. Appropriately named. That lets you pop up, a session off of your system. Microsoft will kill you. Microsoft will kill your sessions. So if a query uses too many resources, it will kill it. And here's the cool bit. If you use too many resources, and so you're running, let's say you're returning 10,000 rows. And it's running. You get about 5,000 rows, and it kills it. You didn't get the full data set back. What happens usually? Anybody? If you're sitting in your machine, the web page you're loading fails, what do? I refresh, I reload it, right, thank you, good. So we're going to run that 10,000 line query again, it's going to get 5,000 rows back and get killed. Cool, what happens then? Try again. See where we're saving money? We're saving all kinds of money because of throttling. Throttling is definitely going to be a major issue. Deadlocks. If your queries perform poorly, by the way, deadlocking is a performance issue. You know that? Yes, it is query design. Yes, it is structure design, but it's primarily a performance issue. Because if your transactions are fast, you'll never see a deadlock. It's only when the transactions expand that they start to run into each other and you get deadlocking. Just so you know. It's another reason to tune queries. Deadlocks are also going to be a major cost because, again, that's a whole situation where you see some data come down, you pay for it, but then the deadlock occurs, that victim is chosen, it stops their transaction, and they have to resubmit. You can save the company money. But throttling is an important thing to know about, and one of the things you will use is database connection stats and sysevent log to look for throttle events. Because you want to know if you are getting throttled. It's a very important thing, because that means you've got problems with resource use. Probably bad queries, possibly bad structure, bad statistics. All of which you still have to maintain. This is SQL Server. Does everybody have statistics on their database today? They may not have statistics. Everybody turned, like, oh, I just turned off auto update stats. I've had people do it. I consulted for a company that they're like, yeah, we had the auto update stats turned on, but our data loads were slowing down, so we turned it off. I said, oh, cool. So what are you doing instead? What do you mean instead? Oh. So we looked, and they had 6-month-old statistics. Saying one row. How many rows were in there? 10 million. Anyway, moving on. Everybody okay with throttling? Cool. Let's get talking about tools. Anybody heard of that one?
No.
Never seen that before? Anybody heard of that one?
Yeah.
Guess what? Most of your tool set's exactly the same as it was before. We also have a SQL management portal, database management portal. Your tools are not changing. Your skill set today is applicable to the cloud. You are all already qualified to be cloud consultants. Which means you get to up your rate. Or ask the boss for a raise. Yeah, well, see, I know Azure now, so you guys give me a raise. When did you learn that? Oh, over the weekend, picked it up. I'm not quick. Seriously. It's largely, the tool set's largely the same, and you will be able to run it again. Okay, so let's talk about each of the individual tools. SQL Server Management Studio. First off, this one runs it. People run into this one, I don't know why, but connectivity is required. Now, why do I say that? You have to be able to get to the internet. I've run into companies that are like, yeah, we don't allow internet access from our company. How do you get through life without being able to Google or Bing or Bingle or Gingle? I mean, that's Tom LaRock calls it his junior DBA, right? Oh, what's that? Right? Type it into Bing. Well, okay, he doesn't use Bing, he uses Google. But anyway, connectivity is required. You will get the Object Explorer. You're going to get stats.io, stats time. You get execution plans. You get the query window. All the stuff you're used to seeing. So for you major league, ready to go, ready to rock, query performance tuning experts, what did I not mention? Query analyzer? Profiler. Profiler. Ding, ding, ding. No profiler. But you shouldn't be. Who here is on? Okay, who here is predominantly 7.0? There were 2 people in the last audience. Okay, it's predominantly 2000. 2005? Predominantly? 2008? R2? 2012? 2014? Only there was one guy in last time. Okay, most everybody's 2008 or above. Okay, stop using Profiler. It's a total side note. Stop using Profiler. Start using extended events, which you also don't get here. Start using extended events, because extended events are lower weight cost than Profiler by a major, major factor. Start learning that stuff, pick up on that, and go with it, because extended events are much better. Let's play. Enough lather. Let's get in here and do some stuff. All right. Has anyone seen anything like this before? Yeah, okay, good. That's excellent, because this is Management Studio. This is SQL Server Management Studio, and it looks a lot like SQL Server Management Studio because it is. Even though I am connected to, let me repoint here, I am connected to gobbledygook.database.windows.net. That is a Azure server. All right? That's what I'm connected to, but I have here Windows Azure. And yeah, for the reg gators in the room, I do have SQL source control hooked to Azure. It's not exactly happy, but I did it as an experiment because I like to play. Don't do that. It's not designed to do that. So it'll probably be working that way soon, but right today it's not. I can expand things and look at stuff. I can expand out the table list and look at the tables. I can expand out the tables and look at the columns. It works exactly the same way. If I open up a new query window, I can drag and drop. I can even use really snifty new tools like Reggate SQL Prompt, because I love it. Oh, hang on, let's just do SSO. And it looks up all my tables and all the columns and everything off of Azure exactly the same way. So the tool set that I have available to me is exactly the same. Sort of. Notice anything missing? In short, everything. Right? I mean, because if I expand up my local server, slightly different list. Right? Up there is database and security. Down here is database and security, server objects, replication, always on management. There's a management up there. By the way, somebody at Microsoft's got to get the bottom whooped for, because that's hard coding, right? Because there is no management thing, so there shouldn't be a management folder. They managed not to put all the other folders in appropriately, but there's a management folder, so that's typed into some code. Developers are in there going, oh my God, I hit my bottom. Yes, appropriately so. There. Sorry, I lost track of zoom in for a minute. So this is basically the same stuff as you're used to using. Anybody shocked? Anybody upset? It's Windows, it's Management Studio. All right, let's keep going a little bit. Oh wait, no, I don't want. Nope. Sorry, I'm an idiot. Apologies for being an idiot. See, I already lost one because I'm so stupid. The other thing I wanted to show you is the execution plan. Oh, nuts. What happened? Remember how I talked to you about you're going to have retry logic on a regular basis? If you have a connection open for any length of time, like I had this connection open, I already set everything up, tested it out this morning, walked away, left the connection open. Connection's open for any length of time, Azure says, yeah, sorry, you've been open too long doing nothing, and kills it. So you can't even leave the connection open. So you have to have retry logic built in. Luckily, this is just Visual Studio. This is just SSNS, so I can just re-execute it and it will retry and connect up. and the query will run. And I'll get my result set back, 2 rows. Stats IO, stats time, all recorded exactly as it normally would. No shocks, no surprises. The tool set you know is the tool set you have. And an execution plan. I don't like talking about execution plans much, but that's a joke. I will talk about execution plans all day if anyone will let me. Actually, I think they were in Dallas. Anyway, it's exactly the same as before, right? So you get to see, you know, nested loop joins, index seeks, all this stuff. Why is it exactly the same? Because it's still SQL Server, right? This is SQL Server. There's no magic behind the scenes. It is a forked version of SQL Server. It's a little bit different. I can even show you some of the differences, but it's still SQL Server. So relax, right? You can take this stuff and run with it. It's available to you right now. You can start using it. So let's talk about the portal. Now, another thing you have is this web-based management portal. So you can connect up. Again, you must have connectivity. You can do some monitoring. You get statistics time, you get statistics IO, you get a query window, and you get execution plans. What did I not say again? No profile. No extended index. Further, definitely worth mentioning, everything that you can collect, I mean, obviously stats IO and stats time you collect as you execute a query. Execution plans you collect as you execute a query. If you collect other things like performance metrics, that's usually gathered, if you're not gathering it through extended events, you're gathering it through querying the cache, right? So, how many databases are we sharing together again? 35,000. Let me ask, how volatile is your cache? Your cache is fairly volatile sometimes, I mean, depending on the system, right? How volatile do you think it is with 35,000 databases in it? Yeah, he's going, wait. Exactly. So you're going to miss queries. They're not going to be available to you in cache because they will have aged out of cache very quickly. I do a load test thing. I won't do it today. If anybody's talking about pre-con on Tuesday, I'll be doing it there at the PASS Summit. I do a load test against Azure. I don't like doing it very often because I have to pay for it. But I will run thousands of queries against it all at once. And then I will show you the cache. And you know, I run thousands of queries and I get hundreds back. Ooh. Just worth mentioning. It is cache dependent. All right, so let's play now. Switch back over to the portal where we were at. So this is that portal. You log in, you get this nice screen, but let's go in and look at the details. You go to the dashboard, and you do get monitored. You see the connections that I've been doing today, right? Any failed connections I had, which I did have one failed one. I would like to do that so you guys can see it. How much data I'm using. So it's a little bit of monitoring stuff. You click on monitor, you're thinking, oh, cool, now I get to see good stuff. Yet, no, you get to see more connection information. The connections failed, connections passed, and you know, any deadlocks or blocked by the firewall or throttled connections. Right? Throttling, you want to know. You need to know. So this is one method you can do to get that. You can also look at scale, which is where you can go in and not on this one. Here, let me show you. I'll show you the. I believe I've got it on this one. I do. Good. You can turn it on and tell it I want to do premium database. I'm not going to turn it on because I have to pay for it. And then you can set how many CPUs and how much memory it uses. Right? I'm not going to do that because I don't want to pay for it.
What are the upper limits on those?
It's online. My brain is not very effective. So, if you connect up to your database directly, you get a database portal. Now, the database portal gives you a little bit more information. Let's look at that. It gives you a little bit more information. You get to see stuff like the number of active users. And this is my test database locally. You know, so the number of active users is very low. We do have, Redgate has production stuff in the SQL Azure database, believe it or not. We're not going to tell you which thing. Not the business. But we do have it. So we are, you know, I'm not just advocating this and running AdventureWorks. You know, people are like, I see demos with AdventureWorks, I'm going to kill myself. Well, I can't show you my production data, so I show you Adventure Works and other stuff. Anyway, we have it. And you can look at things like, oh, look at that big word there, query performance, because I love query performance. And so this is pulling information out of cache, and it's showing you the stuff that has come in. And you'll notice even the query that we just ran a few minutes ago is not here. But we've got run count, and you can sort by these things. So I can sort by run count. I can sort by CPU. I can sort by duration. Right? I can sort by physical reads, logical reads. Everything is sortable, so I can see exactly what's going on. I can click on it and get more details about that query from cache, eventually. There it goes. So I can actually see the query itself, and I can see the resource usage of that query, the last run, all that fun stuff, depending on how much it was able to pull from the highly volatile cache, right? Let's not forget, highly volatile. And you still get all the awesome information that I like to have, because it is SQL Server. I want the query hash, the SQL handle, and the plan handle. Why? So I can go in and query things from the highly volatile cache and pull more information down as I need it. Now, don't count on it being there for a month. It won't. Don't count on it being there for an hour. It won't. Don't necessarily count on it being there for 5 minutes. It won't. But while it's there, you can get it from this information. It's all good. You can even look at the query plan. And it looks exactly the same as the other query plan, right? No difference. Okay? Any questions? Nobody ever bites on it. Ever. I don't know why. All right, well, we'll just keep going. Ignore me. All right, so you see the monitor. We talked about it connecting. I have a tendency to get excited in this. Okay, query window. Haven't gotten there yet. The query window is pretty good. It's roughly the same as SSMS. However, you don't get the drag and drop. You don't get type ahead. Redgate still hasn't built a tool for it yet, guys. We're waiting. You don't get properties on the queries, but you can use set statistics IO time and off, and you do get full-blown actual execution plans, just like we saw before. Let's play with that. So here we're going to open up a new query window. Let's go back over here and pull the same query over. So we run the same one above, so you guys can see that the execution plan is identical. Where am I? There. The one thing you don't have over here, oops. The one thing you don't have over here is Control E or F5. And I don't know about you, but it makes me twitch. Because I'm like, query, Control E, query, Control E, query, Control E. Web browser, Control E, and it opens up the little top part with a little question mark in it. Oh, hurt me, hurt me, hurt me. Anyway, let's do this. Let's never type during demos. Don't hit Control E, hit run. And so I get back the 2 rows that I had back before, same stuff. And I get back messages. So I get back, I just put statistics on. I didn't turn on time, but I get back my stats. And there it's exactly the same stuff because it's SQL Server. Right? Anybody who feels like they're already a query tuning master, you can leave the room because you've got everything you need to go to town with this stuff. Even, let's take a look at the execution plan. Go for the actual plan. And so the execution plan even looks exactly the same as the other one. Right? No, it's identical. See? 100%. Exactly the same. What? 1, 2, 3, 4, index seeks, 1, 2, 3, nested loop joins, and a select operator.
So I need a legend change.
Huh?
So I need a legend.
Oh. You guys can't see that. All right, hang on. Let's just make it so you can see it. We'll zoom in. Oh, there we go.
Oh.
Yeah. It's exactly the same. It's no different. In fact, I really wish, with one exception, which I will detail and whine at you in great detail of exactly how much I hate it, I really wish this was our new Plan Explorer. And when I got my hands on SQL Server 2014, very first thing I did was run a query, get the execution plan, and then weep bitterly because it looks exactly the same as 2005. It hasn't changed, not an inch. I wanted to cry. Actually, I did cry. It was sad. But
What do you want it to change?
I want this to look like that,
Oh.
with one exception, and I'll get to the exception. So there's some cool things about this. First cool thing, it highlights in red highest estimated costs, which is awesome, because it's a quick eyeball grabber. What are my highest costs, right? Now this query itself is a very simple query, returning a very small number of rows, against good indexes, properly put together with good foreign key constraints enforced, so there's zero tuning opportunities here, right? This is buy more hardware time, right? If this query is really kicking our system's butt. It is, you know, there's just no query performance possibilities. But if there were, I would really quickly key in on these two things as a potential for tuning, because it shows them up. The cool thing is that you can look at these estimated costs and you can say, well, hang on, that's the total cost. What's the cost per CPU? And then it breaks it down so you see the operators are highlighted for CPU just by clicking on the little button up there. Or I can say, oh, little button right there. Okay? I can click on I/O. Click on I/O, there it is. And I get different estimated costs. Now remember, those are estimates, which, what's another word for estimate? Yes, you've been in my session before. Guess. Guess is another word for estimate. So they are estimates, even on an actual plan, those are estimates, but they are the one number you have, so they are the one number you're going to use. Cool stuff. Better stuff. You can do searches. Show me all of my index seeks. And then highlighted in blue are all the seeks. Now this plan is fairly small, but imagine, you know, it's instead of, you know, the 6 or 8 operators we've got here, 4, 6, 8, hey, gosh, okay. Instead of 8 operators here, we have 80, right? That's usually what my plans that I'm tuning look like. And you wanted to find the loop joins, you could do that. You wanted to find the merge joins, you could do that. You have different search capabilities, hash join, nested loops, sorts. Not every operator, but all the bigger ones you can track down and find. So if you just want to see all the nested loop ones, it will highlight them in blue for you. Everybody okay with that? Don't you wish you had that here?
Yeah.
Heck yeah. God, yes. Instead of going down here, hang on, it's zoomed in. Instead of going down here to the plus button and scrolling around these giant plans going, oh, that one's 22, that one's 23, oh, that one's 31, trying to find the highest cost operator, or writing god-awful XML queries to pull in the operators from the XML. You guys do that, right? You should. Go to my blog, I'll show how to do it. Anyway, it's a whole lot easier just to hit the highlight thing and off it goes. Another few things about it. Oh, if we go back to here, the very first operator, select operators, where you should always start looking at execution plans. Never, ever, 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 ever follow the idiot who wrote that first execution plans book and says, look at the tooltip. Guy didn't know what he was talking about. What you should be doing is looking at the property sheet in all cases, because the property sheet's where all the good stuff is. And by good stuff, I mean things like reason for early termination, good enough plan found, well, the query hash, the query plan hash, set options, the ANSI settings that came in, because anybody here have the query thing where it's like, well, you run the query from my SSMS and it runs fine, but it runs from the app and it sucks. Exact same query on the exact same database, exact same parameters. Anybody have that one? Take a look at the ANSI setting connections. I'll bet they're different. But where do you get them? Here. They're stored with the execution plan. So you can pull them back out. Compile time, all that other fun stuff. Guess what? They are here. Same set of properties. Exactly the same. No different. Why? It's SQL Server, and it's feeding off the exact same XML as the other one. So I can still get The reason for early termination, where'd it go? Let's see. Ah, there we go. I still get, the optimization level is full, so I did a full optimization, and I get good enough plan count for the reason for early termination. It is absolutely all still there, but this is the part that I hate about this. Notice, let's say I want to go look at the, high cost operator. Nuts, view more. Oh, now there's all my properties. Okay, so now I click over here and say, I want to look at this one. View more. But if I do over here, well, all I have to do is put the property sheet up and then start clicking, and every one I click, I get the properties. They're making me click twice. I'm sorry, that's irritating. That's really irritating. It makes me angry. They're making me click twice. Here's the only good news, is if you've clicked twice while you have the plan up, you don't have to click twice a second time. If I had to click twice, or 3 times or 4 times, oh yeah, I would be going to red. I'd be driving. Guys, I hate that thing. All right, so what else can I show? Oh, I know. Who here just loves text plans? They think graphical plans are a total waste of time. They can't believe anyone actually uses them. There's always at least 1 or 2. I mean, you're wrong, but raise your hand. Okay, well, there's always a few. They're hiding out there. They just don't want to, Text plan. More than a text plan, though, because I want to sort my plans by I/O cost. Ooh. I want to sort my operators by physical operator. Whether you do that, I don't know, but you can. I want to sort it by estimated number of rows. So I put estimated number of rows. Oh, cool. Now again, 8 operators, 80 operators. Yay! Right? This is nice. This is handy. Again, I want this on the GUI. I want this on the local server, but we don't have it. They're mean. They are mean. Finally, we have another view, which I don't completely understand. I don't get it. It sort of looks like XML, and it's got the whole nested thing, and it can roll up. You click on the things to roll them up. If you don't want to look at everything, you just roll up. But I'm hard pressed to say, well, this is exactly what I would use this for. I don't know, but it's there. Now you know. Have fun. Let me know when you find a really cool, this is the only way you can solve this problem is here, kind of thing. Show me that. I'd love to hear it. So far, I'm kind of, whatever. It's there. But they're all from the same plan. I'm not regenerating plans. It's just reading the XML and displaying it to me in new and different ways. And I think it's awesome. And yeah, we do have new operator symbols, which is a bit of a pain, but not that big a deal, especially because you can zoom in and see what they are. Any questions on any of this? No? Okay, cool. Can you do what? Oh, if I hover the mouse, no, I don't get tooltips.
You don't get?
No tooltip. You click, and you'll get a tooltip, but only if you click. Yeah. No. Well, I don't like the tooltips anyway. I don't. My first book, I said, oh yeah, go to the tooltip. Look at this. Go to the tooltip and look at that. The problem is the tooltips are very incomplete. The real information's in the properties, so I have to click anyway to get properties. So it's just 6 one, half dozen the other, really. But it's that clicking twice that makes me crazy. All right. How are we doing on time? Not bad. Oh, and one other bit. Execution plans can be saved. So you can say it's the XML, right? So you can save it. I'll just show. Oop. Wrong window. There we go. Right click. No, that's not it. You make sure that you're on an execution plan, make sure it's there, and just hit Save As. And then you can save .SQL plan. It's right there. Can you then load it back in? Yeah, so in theory, what I
You
can
could
do
do
is run my
export your-
queries, get them in SSMS, and then transport them over. Yes, I can, but how much more would I hate Microsoft for making me do that? So I don't even want to think about doing that because it would really, I would get very angry at Microsoft. I actually like Microsoft. I mean, they've indirectly paid my bills for 20 some odd years. So I have some appreciation for them, right? But yeah, they irritate me. I like them. They irritate me. My wife irritates me. I won't tell her that. But and nobody can
Wait,
keep that.
you think she doesn't know that?
She knows. Okay. I try so hard to hide. I'm gonna start a fight. I'm gonna get in a whole lot of trouble. All right, DMOs, dynamic management objects. You have a whole set of tools. If you're not already using dynamic management objects in your day-to-day lives as DBAs and as developers, start. Dynamic management objects are fantastic. It's a great way to get information. But working with Azure, you have some issues. The biggest one is this. All operating system information is gone now. All server level information is gone as well, but all operating system information is gone. What is probably well, not my number one, but certainly the top 3 or 4 DMOs that you should be using on a regular basis? Anybody? Shout out a couple. Specifically one that has that and that in the title.
Oh, the OS performance stats?
sys.dm_os_weight_stats.
And that's gone.
That's gone.
That's bad.
That's bad. You also don't get clickable execution plans, which makes me nuts. I know, I am lazy. I freely admit it. I'm lazy. If I run the query and I get the result set back, I expect it to behave a certain way. And it just doesn't work like that, and it makes me angry. So, just so you know. All right, those are the big differences. And you do get lots of resets on data moves. Not remove, restart, attach, detach, because none of those things are available to you, but on move, meaning you've had that failover. Remember the 3, the primary, the 2 secondaries? It moves, resets the stats, and keeps going. Let alone the fact that stats are very volatile. But you can still use weight stat monitoring because 2 things. One, you've got CSDM exec requests, which shows weight stats, right? What's currently running, what is waiting. And they've created a new one, systemdb weight stats. Haha, see, I lied to you. I'm evil like that. Yes, the OS weight stats is gone, but they've replaced it with systemdb weight stats. So now you can run the DB weight stats for your database. Now, what's the second thing I did when I was in SQL Server 14? Oh, cool, I can't wait to see systemdb weight stats on this. No. Nope. They didn't port that over either, and it makes me angry that they didn't do that. That's just why would they not put that there? Because don't you want it? I wanted a weight stats by database. That's awesome. Weight stats by server is important, but weight stats by database, man, that's great. And you've got it in Azure because you're only able to look at your database, right? But you don't have it in the other one. So, a couple of special weight stats you want to know about. SE REPL slow secondary throttle, SE REPL commit active, which is basically the replication slow secondary throttling and replication commit acknowledged. You get these 2 weight stats as your top weights. You have issues. Your issues are twofold. One, you have a very high data volume, and the weights are occurring for transmitting the data between your multiple databases. Okay? That's one possibility. Possibility number 2, the server you are on or the servers you are transmitting to are slow because of what is called a noisy neighbor. Meaning some database that is running slow and causing things to slow down can cause you to get very high rate stats. Now, identifying a noisy neighbor is something you cannot do. It's something you have to call Microsoft and they will identify the noisy neighbor. However, before you make that phone call, It's one of those situations, you know, when you're looking around the room trying to figure out, you know, you're in that meeting where they're going to discuss exactly what happened this weekend, how we can prevent it from ever happening again, and you're looking around the room and you can't spot the guy who's in trouble. That's because it's you. You call in a noisy neighbor with Microsoft, it could be you. So if you get these high weight stats, it could be you have a noisy neighbor, or it could be you are a noisy neighbor. You can't differentiate, you'll have to call Microsoft to find out. If you are the noisy neighbor, it's even just, like I said, it's because you've got high data volume, or it's because your queries are bad, and you need, or your indexes are bad, or your stats are bad, or, you know, same old stuff. Everybody okay with that? Other than that, you look for the same old stuff. Look for Semaphore, the I/O batch weights, and the sys scheduler yield, which relate to what? That's, okay, what's that one? I/O, okay, cool, it's in the name. What's this one? Huh?
Process schedule.
Yeah, CPU. And so what's that one? What are the three things we always worry about? CPU, I/O, and memory. There we go, cool. I won't show you the query because I just select star against DB weight stats. Nobody cares. And we've only got 9 minutes left, so I want to get through the other stuff. System exec requests works exactly the same. It shows you what is currently running. It's cool. System exec query stats works exactly the same. It shows you a query in cache and an aggregate view of how many times it's been called, what was the last runtime, all that fun stuff. But cache is volatile, highly volatile. SQL text allows you to pull the SQL statements back out. Query plan allows you to pull the query plans out. And DM exec query plan text allows you to get the text style query plan instead of the XML style query plan, which is very handy for doing certain kinds of searches and stuff against query plans, because you don't have to write these god-awful X query things to pull stuff out. You can just run a search on text. Just easy. All right? Are we okay with that? Let's play it a little bit. I'm just going to switch back over to here for this bit. Hi, you. So that's the weight stats. I mean, I can show it to you if you want. Just give you the idea. Oh, see, we've sat too long and you get a transport error. And so there are my weights on my system right now. And you'll notice I'm not looking at any of the, so there's no noisy neighbors on the server. And I'm clearly not a noisy neighbor. I'm the best neighbor you could possibly have. I run queries, once a week, at least on this one. System exec requests, system exec query stats. I'm not going to show you that stuff. We'll just get down to a real query, right? So what we're going to do is we're going to run, we're going to pull from system exec query stats. We'll cross-apply to the query plan with the plan handle. We'll cross-apply to the SQL text with the SQL handle. And we'll try to see if we can find the ones where the destination is like that. The where clause may limit what we can get back. We'll see. Oh no, cool, it's in cache. Wow, that never happens. I like it. And so you see I get the SQL statement, I get the execution count, I get the number of reads. Usually I have to go back and re-execute it just to get it in. I must be on a great server right now. Everybody's asleep. No noisy neighbors at all. And so I click on this and I get, God! Microsoft just hates me. But it is an XML plan, so what do? You save it as a .SQL plan file and reopen it, and you're looking at the graphical plan. No big deal. Except it's a pain that I shouldn't have to do, because it doesn't work like that when I'm running the same query against the minute. Sorry. Okay, we're good. Right? He's like, this guy's crazy. Yeah. I think that one's it. Oh yeah, that's another one. I combine a couple of things. It's going against the query plan to get the statement level. And look, this is one I like running this query a lot. It's look for everybody that has timeout is the abort reason. Why? Because anytime you got an execution plan that says timeout, that's a tuning opportunity. Absolutely tuning opportunity. Every one of those, just automatically, out of the gate. Now, what do those tuning opportunities entail? Usually it means simplifying the query. It's overly complex, what causes the time concept. That's just a query I love to run on any system I'm maintaining. And then after that, we're getting into stuff I'm not supposed to show you yet. All right, any questions on this? Comments, suggestions? I say things that, like charting. All right, so the index DMOs. Same as before, right? This is still SQL Server. Index operational stats shows you how the operations are occurring. Physical stats shows you the distribution of the indexes. And usage stats shows you whether or not there's scans or seeks or whatnot. It's exactly the same. There's no shocks, no surprises. It's the stuff you're used to seeing, right? I mean, I can't even show it to you. Right? Let's do operational stats. We're going to go against the SysDB operational stats, join the sysobjects and sysindexes on the IDs, and pull back, latch weight counts and all that fun stuff. Right? So what's currently running? The main reason I like to use the SSMS for this is so I can hit Control E over and over again instead of twitching out and hitting the wrong buttons. And so I get useful operational information about my indexes. Right? Same stuff that you can run today against your own system. None of these normal good things.
Question.
Sure.
For production systems running in this platform, would you see value in running these queries of these sort, sending results to another database for some longer term trending?
That's a great question. Okay, it's not a great question. It's not on the next
not on
slide.
the next slide.
That's an awesome question, though, because, okay, my answer and Microsoft's answer. I'll give you Microsoft's answer first. No, don't worry about it. You think I'm kidding? That's Microsoft's answer. No, don't worry about it. My answer, yes, that is a good mechanism. My suggestion would be to either set up, depending on how much data you're collecting, depending on how often you want to collect it, and you don't want to collect it a lot, right? You want to maintain a kind of minimal footprint. You want to be a fairly conservative monitoring tool, kind of like our tool is, which, by the way, don't plug our tool in Azure SQL database yet. That would be a bad thing. It won't work. Try. But yes, you should do that minimally, carefully, and then look at either setting up an Azure SQL database to collect it to, or better still, collect it to an Azure VM. Because you'll get a whole slew of tools available to you in the Azure VM that you don't get to the Azure SQL database. So you can do more stuff with it. So that's what my suggestion is. Yeah, I don't see a reason why not to set that up. Several Microsoft people have set up similar things. There's one of the Microsoft consulting guys has a tool, or TIGA, something like that, that does exactly that. I would use that because it's pulling data down, which means you'll pay for it.
And then scheduling that, would you run it through a scheduler mechanism
That's-
within an Azure VM?
Well, you can
A
do.
local SQL agent
That's why I would do an Azure VM, is because you can set up the agent right there and schedule it. Otherwise, what you need to do is set up Azure has scheduling services, and you can set up a schedule service, but you got to write a lot of code. And it's lazy. I am. Good. Lazy is good. Right? So I don't want to have to write a lot of code. I just want to plug in. I want to click a few buttons and make things go. So yeah, so I think it's a great idea.
Or could you connect a SQL agent on a VM in-house?
You could absolutely connect to one in-house and have it fire off the events, but you want to be careful that you're not pulling stuff down because it will add to your cost. This is for getting physical stats. Sample. Why sample? Because detailed can run long on big things, right? And if it's a long-running query, what happens? Oh. Now, while we're on indexes, while we're talking about sample, while we're talking about throttling, while we're talking about this, what's one of the things we need to do with indexes on a fairly regular basis? Defrag. Maybe. I'm kind of with, there's a debate going on as to whether or not defragging really helps. I've seen places where it absolutely did, and I've seen places where we just did it automatically, and I don't think that we needed to. But anyway. Big index. I've seen this happen. Say you've got a 150 gig database. Say it's 80, 90 gig index. Right? Not crazy, right? What happens when you do rebuild? It runs long.
You log the data.
It uses a lot of resources. It gets throttled. Ow. Exactly. And it depends on the level of it depends on the level of fragmentation. So, recommendations for defrag. What? Run once a week, run once a month. Check it to see if it's X amount, and then defrag. I'd get more paranoid about it if you're doing Azure. Either choices are one of two. One, don't defrag at all. Don't worry about it and go. That might be an issue, it might not. Two, defrag very frequently. Right? So that way it minimizes the amount of fragmentation you have, which minimizes the amount of rebuilding it has to do and reordering it has to do. So those are my recommendations. Don't do it at all, or do it a lot. Whichever one you think will work better for your system, you'll have to test. Okay? Everybody's going to go, oh God, that's work. Yeah, sorry.
Well, yeah, because you want to stay under that throttling threshold every time.
Yes, exactly. Because the worst thing in the world you can do is let it get to the point where it's going to get throttled, because then you're stuck. And what I've had to do is I usually, not always, usually creating an index, it will create, that doesn't seem to get throttled often. But it does get throttled occasionally.
Would that performance really be great if you got a highly fragmented index?
Like I say, that's seriously a debate that's been going on right now, whether or not a fragmented index causes that much of an issue. I know people are going, yes, of course it does. Well, have you measured it? And I mean scientifically evaluated it, because I've seen a lot of people who have been doing it lately, and there's a big debate over how important it is. I haven't picked a side yet. I find it an interesting discussion. And then obviously index usage stats is very useful because this persists even during failovers and whatnot, and it shows you, scans and seeks, right, over time. Good stuff to have. Just useful stuff to have. Oh, and by the way, even though it may say, this index never been used, doesn't mean you can drop it. Or if you drop it, make sure you still got it restricted in some place you can reapply it. Because it may just be only used once a month or something, or once a year. Like, oh, I don't know, it's this index we never use. Well, except when the CIO runs his annual report. And he gets real cranky if it runs slow. You may want to make sure it's there. All right, so any questions on the index stuff? All right, hopefully, ooh, crap, we're running a little long, sorry about that. Hopefully we've hit our goals. Some resources. ScaryDJ.com resources has scripts, slide deck, all this fun stuff. The book I wrote on query performance tuning is almost 100% applicable here, except for all the data collection information, talking about OS level information and all that stuff you can't do. But the query tuning itself is all still the same. If you're not already using dynamic management objects, this book, which is available from Redgate, for free as an ebook, is from Louis Davidson and Tim Ford, is invaluable. And a fantastic white paper with a ridiculously long name, Windows, Azure, SQL Database, and SQL Server Performance and Scalability, compared and contrasted, by Connor Cunningham and a couple of other Microsoft guys, is a fantastic read. And that's a link available again up here. This is the only thing you have to write down immediately, because all the rest of this stuff is there. All right? And I hate to say it, I don't have time for questions in the proper formal setting, but I can answer them afterwards. Thanks for coming, and it is time to move on, right? Yeah, okay, good. Yeah, I'm not ending early, am I? Thanks for coming, and we'll see you all day long. Thank you.